Well, happy Saturday for Dragons and Dolphins fans. The D's, the double D's coming in strong and putting in a great effort, man. Like, Dragons Mr. Lomax has got a bit of a chip on his shoulder right now. He's playing with a lot of force and a lot of want and drive, which is incredible for someone that has just signed a new contract elsewhere. He's really showing that he wants to be there and win, basically, which is awesome. It's probably the reason why he's wanting to leave in the first place. And after getting that good win there, to then watch the Eels play like they did, I'm not sure if he's he thinks he's in the correct situation in that transfer. But we moved to this Dragons game, and it was great, really. You had the Dragons boys putting on 6 tries in that time. No, a couple of crazy field goals for Lomax as well was very, very impressive, and some decent scores across the board. It wasn't as bad as the Thursday night game. So if you did have a couple of plays in this, it seemed to be the ones that were fairly relevant. Obviously down towards sort of Wade Egan. It was probably only sort of Tamari Martin that had a bit of a tough one for anyone who decided to buy him. But outside of that, and Roger with his 34, but a fairly solid fantasy game at that. And Benny Hunt just doing his thing, really. Like, he just continues to sit around that 50-51 average there, with another 69 in this one with 3 try assists and a try to himself, with big kick meters there at 624. So very impressive for Benny and all his 3.3% owners there. SJ was 67, got that early little rest at the end for Rochi, who came on with 3 minutes to go, and 67 again for SJ. That try just opened up beautifully for him, obviously off the back of the couple of plays before and getting that defensive line scrambled. But after that try, really, the Dragons came with a wet sail and were absolutely crushing it. So, yeah, good to get that try early and get some bank some points early. And then from there it was the odd turnover tackle, a forced dropout, good run meters and kick meters still with big tackle numbers at 29 for 4 misses. So a great game for SJ. And if you decide to go for him over Hines, hopefully for my sake it doesn't work out exactly. But happy enough. I've got him in my head-to-head Supercoach team, so I can roll with you guys getting good points there, and each getting the 67 as well, which was great. So yeah, good stuff. If you went for him over Hines, and hopefully Hines gets like a 70, I'll take that this week just to beat you guys by 3. That'd be nice. And for Blake, some massive minutes for him, and he has the last few weeks now. It looks like he's definitely recovered from that quad issue that he sustained a bunch of weeks ago, and he was playing less minutes because of it. And he looks like their best player at the moment, doesn't he? The run meters, the massive efforts there, the 1 offload, 6 tackle breaks. He's not making a tremendous amount of tackles, obviously, at 23 there, but that's not what he's expected to do. He's expected to run the footy. And I suppose Tohu Harris, that means you're just expected to tackle and run the footy. Do both, made at 168 and 48 makes there. 168 run meters. 4 missed tackles, a little bit high, obviously, but when you're making that many, sometimes you are going to miss a few, and that was where he was at this one. I was talking to a few people, and I was like, just get Tohu or AFB, and they both scored the same, so pretty funny at that. Head-to-head team in fantasy there, captain Tohu again this week, so that's worked out 2 weeks in a row, thank goodness, and it was always expected that he was going to play really big minutes with the bench that they were going to throw out there. I suppose that was exactly the same with Adam Fanua-Blake with his 69 minutes as well. So either of those was a great purchase. Tom Eisenhuth with a 556k 55 there. So averaging 45 for the season. His numbers are incredible. He hardly ran the footy there at 36 run meters. A couple of misses, a couple of penalties, but 56 on the make side for tackles was super impressive there. He continues to do good work and dual position. It's going to be up about 150k after this week, which is just incredible. For anyone who did start with him, it's still 2.3%, super low. But he was one of those guys I was looking at the preseason, and he just continues to exceed, I suppose, expectations. I had him somewhere in the low 40s, and he's up at a 45 now with minutes that have been really all over the shop. And we thought he might play a bit more edge, which he has just solely been through the middle. Faitala Mariner, another fella that had a good game there. 38 is his average. He got a 52 in this one. Playing the full 80, so they did have a couple of guys out in this one, and end up with Jaden Sewer playing a couple less minutes as well, so that was that. Lomax with the field goal there was incredible. Obviously the four goals, the try in that one as well. Run meters were decent. Didn't end up tackling too much there at 3 for no misses there. Centre, hey? Who would have thought? But 51 for him in that time. Good to see Ravalawa go over for his first try of the year as well, finally getting back to his favourite right wing position, which would have been Lomax, but he got his own try anyway. Just a really, really good buy this year, averaging 51 and going up, close to 100k after this week. Wade Egan, the 49, he, in a wasteland of the hooking position, he has clearly been the best over the last few weeks, that's for sure. So the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's playing incredible footy, whether it's in big tackle numbers or in some type of attack. There with 2 line break assists and a try assist for him. Did miss four tackles and an error just to drop him down below that 50, but outside of that, he's been awesome. And obviously saw Brandon Smith go poorly, Harry Grant. We've got Robson with the 40 last week. He's been like the best with Reid Marnie, who both scored a bit lower last week, and then Joey Lussick with a 28 in the game following this. It's just a bit of a wasteland position again this year. Shocker. Don't over-index, that's for sure. Rocco Berry, 49, another really good game for him, and he's really building on this season, up sort of 60-odd, 70k after this week, and not an option at this price, but continues to do great work. 31 tackles for 1 miss in the centres is just absolutely crazy, that's for sure. Mitch Barnett, another good game as well, but just not super fantasy relevant for us. He's going to score about where he's priced at. DeBellin, a 46, he'll continue to go down with that one. Crazy in this one, there was only 21 tackles for him, which is very, very low on his side of the ball, especially in close to 60 minutes. And there might be a time where there's a bunch of injuries and he does go back to bigger minutes, but I just don't think that he'll be super relevant for us this year with the way Flanagan wants to play those middles. And they've got Eisenhuth playing really, really good footy too. Tyrell Sloan, a nice try assist and try for him, 45 points on that front, 506k owners that have him. Just continue to hold now. Little with 44, Harmsele, big minutes here. So that was a very interesting turn of events in this game, that he was able to get the 56 minutes in this one. You've got guys like Blake Laurie with 34 and Francis Mola getting the 33. So we will have to have a little bit of a look into this one with Harmsele, because if you do need a mid going into next week, I don't anymore, and we'll get into that in the next game. Him at sort of 400k, which is going to be, he becomes a very interesting option if he does happen to get these bigger minutes. But on the other side, it's going to be very hard to tell if he's actually going to get them on a weekly basis, or if this was just a one-off, because Molo's played 50 minutes in previous games and then down to 31, and Laurie's been 40-odd, 30-odd, a little bit all over the shop. But we know that Harm's such a really, really good player from his Bunnies days, and he could do the same here for the Dragons now that he's fit and getting some good minutes there. Cable 41, Moses Sully got a try and a couple of line breaks in this one, which was awesome. Run meter's a little bit down, but when he got the ball, he either made a line break or he got a try, which is great. So, but still 38, so a little bit low. You want to hope that when he finally picks up a try or something, he gets a 50. But those that held him, that played him this week, you'll take the 38 in obviously a tough centre position. Martinez Lesniak and Charles Cookstad. So this was a 35 for down. Like, obviously the Warriors outside backs, don't look at them with anything crazy, because they got smashed, right? So outside backs aren't going to kill it. There's no way, shape or form that that's going to be the case going forward. Dallin, we know that he's a mid-40s guy when he gets good footy and gets to run it plenty and scores some tries. Chans, on the other hand, he was let's just put it out there that if they were to win this game, the Warriors, and put on a bit of a score, then we know then we know Chance is going to be in the thick of it and getting obviously the good run meters, but potentially some try assists, some tries there as well, and very much less missed tackles, because that's him coming in late when the Dragons are scoring tries for the most part, because he's that last line of defence. So you take away a couple of those missed tackles, you bring in maybe a try assist, and he's up in the 45s, and that's where I expect him to be scoring, not 35, somewhere in the sort of mid 40s. So a lower game for him, but it just showed that how the run meter is probably not, I guess, what I think I'd end up saying about 250 might seem the norm, because he's just running the footy even more. Like, he even took it off the kickoff for the game, so he just loves running it. But yeah, I think mid 40s is pretty fair for him. This is just a little bit of a low game. Wing fullbacks, as we know, Clint Gutherson, we take the lows with the highs, and sometimes there's more lows, sometimes there's a good run of highs. And Roger, 34. Frustrating. So 7 tackle breaks still, 7 tackles, 0 misses, 142 run meters. These are the floor games that we're going to expect from Roger, and I'm not sure how many of the really ceiling type of games that he is going to have in the centres. So it is a little bit of a worry, and people were asking if they should sell him this week, and I did suggest to hold. And at 606k, you didn't need him to score about where he's priced at. Like, it's exactly there at 41, and he will for the most part score somewhere there. And I don't know, it seems like a weird trade out because he's dual position and could just hit that 41 average, and you're not sitting there worrying about him each and every week. Like, the best fullbacks are scoring low. Like, you've got Pap at a similar price. You've got Teddy that's more expensive, that both scored below what Roger did. People bought Chance this week for a 35. Like, you got to think of all those things when you're making those decisions on if you were to sell him. Jackson Ford at 30 in 59 minutes. So back down to earth. They some of these players, like, they love it. 4 or 5 game sample, and then they get back to a lower game, and obviously 59 minutes, not the full 80 for him. Tamari Martin, this was a bit of a tease as well, given how well he played the first 2 games, but that involved a lot of attacking stats, and in this case he wasn't able to get them. Obviously, we're getting smashed there with 21, so this is a little bit closer to his floor. Like, with the tackle numbers that he's going to get, the odd error or penalty or missed tackles, and that'll be about it, the low 20s. And then in his better games, I think he'll be closer to the 40 mark. So for me, he's still like a early 30s scorer. And if you did buy him, hopefully it's a much better game next week, but you're not buying him any further from here. Jaden Sewer, 19, just did not have anywhere near his best game. It got taken off with 12 minutes to go. 5 missed tackles, 2 errors. Just chalk it up as a bit of a shocker. And he'll be back to some of his best footy to come. He's that type of player. He's averaging 45 even with that 19, so he'll be back to some good play very soon. And then you had Flanagan with 13. So just a bit of a roller coaster he is for sure. It has been more good than bad, to be fair, averaging 32 with this 13 in his average. But not someone that we should be looking to hold too much longer than obviously their buy coming up as well. He does play round 13, but I imagine you'll have a couple of good round 13 halves, and you don't need Flanagan there. So he looks to be a trade over the next few weeks while he's at a good price and he's made you 100k. Then you've got Montoya, 18-80 minutes, Laban the 6, so don't buy Laban. And then Brown as well came in and joined the Dragons and played 18 minutes in this one, coming on instead of Marshke. Then Adam Pompey, 2 in 5 minutes, and Rochi, 2 in 3 minutes. So they really used their bench forwards well, didn't they? The Warriors, they didn't have any issues, which was great on their front. They didn't have to worry about that. All right, Parramatta Eels versus the Dolphins. They look terrible. My goodness, they look terrible. And the Dolphins looked awesome. Well, Eels were ahead, obviously. They got out to a 1-try lead, and then it just the wheels absolutely fell off. And the Dolphins played incredible. And guys, I'll have to have a little selfish brag on this one. I traded Taylor May to Max Plath last night with about 3 minutes to go before the game. And this week of trades for me, bringing in Blore and Plath, might be one of the better trade weeks I've ever had. So I will bask in the glory a little bit there. Just worked out absolutely perfectly. He was 77 before updates as well. And you guys would have seen me obviously speaking about him in the buy, hold, risk, sell, and him being in one of my options in the trades. And my theory with that trading, guys, was that he's just an absolute goer. And you saw that he was going to be somewhere around the early 50s type of minutes with the setup that they had. And then that last hour, when they updated the team, they took Jared Wallace out, and I was like, oh, I think that's actually a little bit better. Keeley, they've got him in as an edge. He obviously played a fair bit of middle, a little bit of edge in that game. And I was just like, well, I think that they're named Plath after a suspension, so he's obviously got faith in him, Benno. And I do think that he's going to be a really solid guy that I can get for around 13, 16, 19. And there's a little bit of a risk, obviously, based on him not playing too many games in the NRL, but we know the games that he has played, his lowest scores are the 30-odd and 40-odd minutes off the bench. But that's not his role in a 13 role. It's to play a little bit bigger minutes. So, and then you got a 36 with a sin bin. So I was like, well, if he can get a 45, that's enough for me. But my goodness, he earned his stripes in this game. He was there, every effort play. There was one of the tries, I think, Trey Fuller went through, and Plath was there running with him. And then he was there for those effort plays for those 2 tries that he scored. So I think that he's absolutely earned the extra minutes, and I'm expecting him to hit about the 60-minute mark on a regular basis. So an amazing trade on that front, and there was a couple of people that in the private group that did follow me, and that's probably the benefit, guys, of that. I was out last night, and I was thinking about the trade, and I went, oh, I'm just going to do it, and then I just quickly told the guys in that group. And yes, there's one of the benefits for next year, if you're interested, guys, to jump in, is that if I'm not sure on my trades for a week, and that's going to happen sometimes, like I'm not sure of them on a Thursday morning or a Wednesday night when I had to do that video this week, being away. But yeah, that's a good benefit for it. Speaking of benefits, Will Penasini, back the last 2 weeks, 40 odd 63. So maybe it's just a little bit of a lull, and Penasini plays better when the Eels suck, potentially. Line break assist for him, line break, and a try. He was terrific out there with 63. So good stuff for anyone who does hold, but this is just the pain of fantasy, right? We all say that he's a bit of a sell. Eels aren't looking great 2 weeks ago, and then he goes 40 and 63. So yeah, that's just how they kick you, that's for sure. Bostock, 63 for him with 3 tries, 4 line breaks, and a try assist. Incredible efforts, and I imagine most people have him on the emergencies and weren't playing him this week, thinking that the Eels would probably put on a little bit of a score on the Dolphins, considering that they were missing so many players. But it didn't matter. He's playing great. The guys inside him, feeding him early ball, have been absolutely incredible. Shout out to Isaiah Katoa and Cody Nikarima. That is 100% the halves pairing that they need to be going with, and they're going from strength to strength and absolutely smashing it. So Bostock, if you're holding on to him, awesome. You get another couple of big price rises, and then he could be a sell a little bit later, or he's just a hold through that buy period as well, as we said, with round 13, 16, and 19, missing 14, 18. So yeah, a couple of things in there to think about. Marshall King was 62. He was awesome there with a couple of good plays through the back end of that game, and just showed what he can do out there. It was obviously more of an attacking game for him. He did have a couple of turnover tackles as well. So overall, just a pretty perfect game, and still only the 62. So it's not crazy on that front. Fuller, who grabbed him at 425? If he did, that was a terrific purchase there. Obviously looking really likely that he'll play the next month now. And at that price, at 425, if you get 57s, it doesn't really matter, does it? And you're banking some cracking scores. And I'll definitely look into him next week. Now that I've traded Taylor May, I do need a fullback instead of a wing fullback instead of a mid. So Fuller comes into calculations for sure. They're not going to absolutely dominate teams each and every week, but he's a guy that we know that makes good run meters, gets tackle breaks, and gets involved in these types of plays. So good stuff for Fuller. Tessie New, a bit of a rocks and diamonds game for him. It was a very simple try that Penasini got past Tessie earlier in that night, and then he really bounced back with a couple of nice tries and a line break there. Speaking of good players, Ewan Aiken just continues to do it. Spoke about him as a decent buy weeks and weeks ago, and Connolly Lemuelu's not in sight, thinking he'd be back in a couple of weeks. We thought we'd maybe have like 3 weeks out of Aiken. It's probably going to end up being 6 or 7 or even more. So yeah, those few percent, 3.5%, they're just laughing to the bank with him, and the scores, just hitting a 50 average weekly. And we will have made closer to 100k after this week, which is incredible. Isaiah Katoa, as I said, just keeps going from strength to strength there with a 52 with 4 line break assists and 3 try assists there. Big kick meters, good run meters as well. Yes, some errors and some missed tackles, but a young half that's chancing his arm a little bit is doing incredible work there. What about the PPM there of Joshy Kerr with Katoa, guys? I'm not sure if you can buy him now. He'll be like 530, and I think you just go up to the top halves before him. But definitely still okay if you really wanted to. Joshy Kerr, 52 in 29 minutes. How about the PPM on him? Incredible. Won't be buying him. Sean Lane with a 50, got the try in this one, and a much better score from him, given the team got smashed as well. As I said, you bank that early try and go from there. I don't think he's a buy as well. There's other edges now that I would go ahead of him. He's got a buy coming up in round 9 too. Dylan Brown, if you grabbed him like my head-to-head team did, he ended up with a nice cheap try at the end, which is great for my Supercoach team as well. So 48 was good on that front. But that team sucks, man. The team is in absolute turmoil, and you see that with Hopgood as well. There's only so much he could do in this game with the team in sort of disarray on their defensive line as well. He's missing tackles, and he wasn't able to do anything attack either. So same for that with Brown until that try at the end. So thankfully a nice bailout, but that 48 is basically where he's priced at, and you can imagine that as a team they're not going to go as poorly as they did in this one here. Hopgood, you're not worried about him with the 43, but it's not great, obviously, and you're hoping for a lot more coming into next week, and I expect you will. he's an interesting one in round 9 as to what you decide to do with him, given he has the bye, and then I think there's a good chance of making Origin, but there's also the other side of it where you could just wait it out and hope that he doesn't, and then you get him from round 13. So yeah, it's probably the play actually, just to wait with him because he's such a terrific player, averaging 57 for the season, and that 43 puts him down a couple of thousand coming into next week, that's for sure, with 56 and 43 his last two. So hold steady and we'll work it out soon. Speaking about Oren Keeley there with 35 in that 40 minutes, he ended up with a try assist there and worked hard and did a good job. He didn't look out of place, and definitely someone that they could use on their bench over the next few weeks going forward. And you had Kenny Bromwich get 52 minutes, so that was a nice way to get some minutes out of their bench. And the thing we look at with Plath, and some people might say it's inflated minutes, but they didn't have any injuries. Ray Stone played 51 minutes off the bench, and you had Keeley play 40 minutes off the bench, which I didn't even expect him to get that high. I thought he might get a 25 to 30 max. So that's where it shows that, Plath is in a really good position to get minutes there going forward. And they had Sean O'Sullivan on the bench as well, so that was another reason I was like, well, he's not going to play too much, you'd imagine, unless there's an injury. That's what he's there for. So yeah, that's that. Don't get on Plath next week, though. Let's keep him at a 0.3% pod, hey? Brommy, Maddo. The fall from Maddo is crazy. 39 minutes. He's going to be 530k, 540k after this week, and it might be a stage eventually, if there's some injuries, he might get some more minutes, or if maybe he's a little bit unfit. I'm not sure what's going on, but the minutes aren't there. They had Cartwright out, and Maddo still couldn't get minutes, so maybe it's a no for him just in general for this season. Sarko 29, Cartwright 28, just it's a couple of low ones in a row for both those guys. Cardi's going to drop plenty of cash as well, and might be a buy at some point. Simonson on the wing, not a no bueno. Joey Lussick, so we had a line break assist, try assist there, and still pick up 28, so that's great. I love owning him. I did loop him though. That was a nice surprise when I got back home last night and realised that I remembered to loop him, given he was my only guy I could. It was like him or Levi. I was like, well, Lussick could go low too, so there you go. That was that. I think I'll be playing Sam Hughes over Lussick now and hope that he starts and gets sort of 40 odd minutes. But yeah, it's frustrating for Lussick. I'll still be holding coming into next week. We'll reassess it there by. But hopefully it's a good score next week, because he went 2 good ones in a row, and it's just frustrating that he's got these in his game now, because he didn't have it in previous years, and now he does, even with that try assist. And pretty funny that he gets that try assist too. He just passed it to him, and he kind of shuffled out of a few tackles and still got over. And but Grant can't get his still, but it's hilarious how that's working out. The best trade in my life, Smithies to Gutherson. So I make some absolute bangers in this game last night, and then this one's still haunting me 3 weeks later with Gutho 22 with a couple of goals, and Sean Russell kicking goal in that second one. Strange. But yeah, 2 tackle breaks, 88 metres gained. Thank you, Gutho, for your services. It's been an absolute terrible ride. And Smithies averaging 60 in that time. Gutho averaging 30. So, lovely. So I can't get them all right, but that was a shocker, and that's going to haunt me for a little bit until Gutho is out of my side. But him and Lussick will both get another chance next week, that's for sure. I'm making too many trades to make those moves. And then Blaze Talangi got 9 in 21 minutes. But the big news out of this one, guys, is that Dejan Arce ended up getting that head knock, Cat 1. So very high likelihood that Blaze will get the opportunity to play at 6 next week. And if that's the case, it's great for our teams, especially holding lots of Dogs players. So there you go. That's probably the big news out of this game to end it there. And then from the Supercoach side, guys, you had the Wars kind of end up with a few decent scores. Chance still end up with 71 with that try assist there, which SJ got a contribution for. And then SJ was 70, Adam Fennell-Blake was 68. So I brought Adam this week for the head-to-head squad, who's in a really good position, as you'll see in the next game. And then Roger 44, not super ideal, not the worst there for sure. But Tamari Martin, for those that bought him for the cash grab, that hasn't worked out perfectly. He'll still make a good amount of cash with his 2 good scores the last 2 weeks, but not ideal. And then Wade Egan 66, he, as I say, continues to be the best hooker that you can select at the moment. And then for the Dragon side, Ben Hunt, he's kind of been a little bit up and down, but this is his best score of the year. So good stuff for Benny. Lomax just continues to do it. He's averaging like 80 for the season now. He was 84. Yeah, 84 after this week. So that is just crazy. And he'll continue to go up cash for a little while too with those scores. So if you grabbed him, that's probably the only one I've the big one I've missed out on in the centre wing. He's been the best by far. Ravalawa with a 78, Sully with a 68 for those holding. And then, yeah, Humsele one to note and have a look at in that position. But that now is his first price change. Or has he only played one? No, he has played two. So 18.30. That's, that good score there will keep his price from going down too much. So, yeah, probably not a buy at that price at this point. But keep a look at him going forward. Flanagan, I think he's a sell now. It's a good time to do so. And then Eisenhuth, another 51 with Jack DeBellin 47. Pretty solid across the board there. The big news here in the Dolphins game is that I played Bostock, 118, so that was beautiful. Have Sean Lane and Dylan Brown in the head-to-head team as well. So a big bounce back week from that squad, and since being 70-something thousand a few weeks ago down to 15,000, and after this week it should be a lot higher, which is great. Holding faith with Sean Lane worked out with the try, but obviously, yeah, you'd want a little bit more from that. Penasini as well, anyone that kept hold of him. Last week I didn't play him, but 51 keeps the price from going down. Hopgood's 46 is super frustrating, and not what you want, obviously, from someone of his caliber, and he didn't have a high score last week either. So a little bit frustrating, and then holding Blaze Talangi, he goes up, I think, a couple of thousand, but not ideal there on that one. And just on the Dolphin side, obviously some good scores across the board with the attacking stats available, with Plath the double try for 94. He's so cheap and has been scoring sort of 40s, and he has a big price rise after that, after going up 37 last time he played, and then 94 is going to get that moving, that's for sure. You can get him to RF and the 5'8" position as well now. And then you've got Tessie New, you've got Isaiah Katoa, Marshall King, all really good scores. Trey Fuller, he's so cheap, they end up popping him in at 204, crazy, after playing one game last week, but last year, but he's at fullback, so very, very hard to select him, and it would be definitely a cash grab before he got moved on, unless they decide to play Hammer at centre, which is a very interesting prospect. I'm not sure if they're actually going to think about actually going for it, but if that was the case, it would work out perfectly, and we would need to hear a little bit more over the next few weeks, in my opinion, to actually make that decision. So there you go, guys. That's the updates from the 2 Friday games and the Supercoach side of things, fantasy and Supercoach there. Let me know how you're going at the moment with your squads. I did see a lot of teams actually had basically no one in those 2 games across fantasy and Supercoach. Well, not Supercoach, but more fantasy there, which is pretty crazy. And there were obviously some moves to be made last night as well. So good luck with your Saturday games. We'll catch you in the next video.